for this?
Y plus 2 squared equals minus 24, x minus 3.
Okay. The key number there, negative 24. And so you got to find that a value. So in general, you get y minus k squared equals 4a times x minus h. We know the vertex, the directrix, the distance from the vertex to the directrix will give us the a value, which happens to be 6. So if our vertex is at 3, negative 2, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's your directrix. A equals 6, and since it opens to the left, that will make it negative. Okay, for that one. That'll make it negative. So it's got to be negative 24 when we're done. All right, the sheet I just handed out, it says conics formula sheet. You can use that on the test if you want. That is fine. If you don't want to, you don't have to use it. Okay. But it just kind of gives a nice, quick summary of everything. Homework-wise, let's go over a couple. I asked you to check your answers there. From either earlier today or previously, I got a few of these up here. We're kind of not everything up here, but enough to kind of get you started or to maybe answer a few questions. For 44, it's going to open vertically, up and down, and then key thing here will be the equation of the asymptotes. The slope will be a over b, is whatever's underneath the y over whatever's underneath the x, but it's square roots. It is 4 over 2. Go ahead and reduce that. That'll give you 2 times x plus 1. So that should be the equation of your asymptote. So both go through that point, negative 1, 1, and they'll both have that slope of, one has a slope of 2, one has a slope of negative 2. Vertices. Justin, what do you got for the vertices on that one?
1 and 5. Negative 1, 5, and negative 1, negative 3.
Negative 1, 5, and negative 1, negative 3. How about for the foci? What do you got for that one? Emma.
Foci for some reason.
What? What?
I can tell you the center if you want, but I don't know.
Cammy, did you do the right thing?
It didn't ask.
You didn't ask for foci? No? Okay, well then that's why you didn't do it. All right, what's our C value? Our C value should be square root of 20. Okay, so then you're going to move up and down from there. So if it didn't ask you, that's fine, but it would be negative 1, 1 plus square root of 20, negative 1, 1 minus square root of 20 for your foci. All right, I didn't put anything up for 47. 53, your final answer. Not final answer, your final equation should be that. X plus 3 squared over 45 minus y squared over 45 equals 1. So that's kind of like the first thing I'll be looking for. Center at negative 3, 0. Okay, our A and B happen to be the same. That's fine. Radical 45, I mean, you can make it 3 radical 5 if you want. Slope. Okay, what's the slope going to be? Bryson? 1. It's going to be 1 because it will be b over a. It will be square root of 45 over square root of 45. That's just going to reduce to 1. So when you're writing the equation of the asymptote, you would get that. Now, did it not ask for the foci for any of them? No? Okay, that's fine. But the equation of the asymptote should be y minus 0 equals plus or minus 1 over x plus 3. And then this one opens left and right. Left and right. Now you're just going to have to estimate from the center. The center is negative 3, 0. Square root of 45 is about 6.7-ish, maybe. So then you just go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.7, and then same thing to the right. All right, for that fourth one, 59. Okay, when you are done with getting it in its standard form, it should be x minus 3 squared over 6 minus y plus 2 squared over 9 equals 1. Your a is always underneath the positive value, so it's a squared is 6, a equals radical 6. B squared is 9, b equals 3. So the first one doesn't work out to be a perfect number. Slope will be rise over run, so it's 3 over square root of 6. Well, if you check the answer, was that the slope they gave you? Okay. Alex, was that the slope they gave you? No, it's not the slope they gave you. But that doesn't mean you're wrong. Okay. What they did is they had square root of 6 over 2. Well, all you need to do is rationalize the denominator. So this is a case where I would be okay if you left it as 3 over radical 6. Okay, I'd be very specific, like you need to rationalize that denominator. So if you had that, you're okay. But this is a case where if this is a multiple choice question and you don't see your answer there, you have to be able to convert. Okay, that would be the only issue there. Okay. All right, questions on any of those? All right, we're going to finish up those guided notes. We will review tomorrow, and then we will take that Chapter 10 test on Thursday, and we'll start reviewing for the exam. From those guided notes, let's take a look at, we're on that back page there. All right, take a second. Think through the scenario here. You've got hyperbola with vertices at 0 plus or minus 4, foci at 0 plus or minus 6. And see what you kind of think through this one. I'll go through it with you. All right, so my vertices are at 0, 4, and 0, negative 4. And my foci at 0, 6, 0, negative 6. All right, from that information, which way does this open? Okay, we open left and right or up and down? Danielle? Okay, so open up and down. Danielle, you know where the center is going to be too? Center will be at 0, 0 because it's going to be halfway in between the vertices. It will be halfway in between the foci. Transverse axis, remember that's what goes through here. Sometimes they refer to that. That would be x equals 0, that vertical line. Center, 0, 0. So if you take a look at the sheet I just gave you, if you need to, what would be the general form for this? It would be y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. I just need to know a and b. Okay. Do I know either of those at this point? Just checking those. Do I know a or b at this point? Justin.
You know, A.
A, what is that?
4.
A will be 4. Distance from the center to either one of the vertices. So A equals 4. I don't know B directly, but what else do I know, Justin?
That A squared equals 16.
A squared equals 16, so I can put that in there. And do I know C?
No, but you can. Yeah, it's 6.
C will be 6. So C will be the distance from the center to the foci. C will be 6. So that will be right here. C is 6. C is 6. And I know that C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And I can find B from there. So if I just b squared will equal, if I just move some things around, b squared will equal c squared minus a squared. All right, substituting in, a is 4, c is 6, b squared equals 36 minus 16, b squared equals 20. Now for this problem, I technically don't need to know what b is. I mean, you can stop right here. I just need to know what b squared is. So the final answer will be y squared over 16 minus x squared over 20 equals 1. That's all it asks for. All right, now on that bottom one there, okay. All right, find the standard form of the equation of a hyperbola with asymptotes y equals 3x and foci at 0 plus or minus 10. All right, we're doing this one specific because it's really easy to make a common mistake. I want to go over that mistake. All right, think through this one. And if you think about what your gut reaction is to for what A and B are, see if you can figure those out. Now, we're definitely going to go through it, but think about, does something pop into your mind for A and B? All right, so 0, 10, and 0, negative 10 are the foci. I do have whoops, I don't want that one. Asymptotes. Okay, and all right, which way is this one got open? Okay, as you take a look at that one, which way, up and down or left and right? Carter, you know?
Up and down.
Up and down because of the foci, where they're at. So it's got to open up and down. Center, Carter, would be where?
0,
0, 0. So it's going to be y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. And now for this type of problem, what is your slope in terms of a and b? Is it a over b or is it b over a? Okay. From what we went over before. Danielle? A over b. So my slope is a over b. Now here is your first instinct. Is since the slope is 3 here, your first instinct is to say that a equals 3 and b equals 1. Don't write this down. And you want to say y squared over 9 minus x squared over 1 equals 1. Okay. Right, 9 out of 10, you're going to do that. Can anybody tell me why that's wrong or show me why that's wrong? Not 9 over 3. It has to be, okay. It could be 9 over, I see what you're saying. This ratio has to be 3 over 1. It doesn't mean A is 3 and B is 1. I was thinking you were doing that. It could be 6 over 2. It could be 9 over 3. It could be 12 over 4. We don't know what it is. Take it a step further. It could be that, how do I know it's not these two based upon the information? Alex?
Because the foci, it's 10 away, which means c squared has to be 100, and then b squared, a squared plus b squared has to equal 100.
All right, good. C squared this has to be true, this statement. C squared has to equal a squared plus b squared. We know C is 10 based upon where the foci are. That can't change. So C is 10. So now that means 10 squared has to equal a squared plus b squared. Well, if you say a is 3 and b is 1, you get 100 equals 9 plus 1, which is 10, which isn't true. So that doesn't work out. All right. So it has to be some type of ratio. All right, well, how can I figure out what they are? With just guessing. It could be 6 over 2, it could be 9 over 3, but you don't know until you test everything. So let's go back to this. Hold on, I'm gonna erase that. That's gonna be a squared over b squared. And let's see here. All right, we do know that a over b has to be 3 over 1. Okay, it has to reduce to that. Cross multiply. A times 1 is a, 3 times b is 3. So a is going to have to equal 3b. C squared still has to equal a squared minus plus b squared. That still has to be true, and c equals 10. All right, everything I got there can allow me to finish this problem. Plug in 10 for c. Okay, so we're still going to get 10 squared. What am I going to plug in for a? Use the fact that a equals 3b. We need to reduce it to one variable. So 3b will go in for a. All right, now we're going to solve that. So 100 equals, all right, 3b squared will give you 9b squared plus b squared. 100 equals 10b squared. Divide by 10. And that gives me b squared equals 10. B will equal square root of 10. And what did we say A was from up above? 3B. So A will equal 3 times square root of 10. All right, put it all together in your equation. Okay, put it all together in your equation. So y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. And so b squared, that's the easy one. That's 10. But what is a squared? 3 square root of 10 squared will be 3 radical 10 times 3 radical 10, which is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Square root of 10 times square root of 10 is 10. And so I get 90 there. So that's going to be your final answer. Y squared equals over 90 minus x squared over 10 equals 1. So you got to watch when you're given the slopes. That doesn't guarantee it'll be your A value or B value. Okay, it'll reduce to that, but it doesn't guarantee it'll be those. All right, I don't know what kind of room you got. I want to do one more. You can either just watch this one, find room, or if you got room in your notes, that's fine. But this will be similar to a test type question. You're not going to have to graph all of them on the test. You'll see some where I just say identify the conic section and write the equation in standard form. Well, you got that little list of all the standard forms. All right, conic section. It's just saying, is it a parabola, is it an ellipse, is it a hyperbola? That's all it's saying. Okay, that's all you got to tell me. So is it a parabola? Is it an ellipse? Is it a hyperbola? So when you see that statement, identify the conic section. That's all you're doing. Okay. All right. So Olivia, can you look at it and tell me which one it is? You don't even need to do any work. You should be able to look at it and say which one of the three.
Is it a hyperbola?
Is it a what?
Hyperbola.
It is not a hyperbola. Not a hyperbola. Can you tell me why it's not? All right. Why wouldn't it be a hyperbola, Maddie?
Is it a y squared?
Yeah, there's only one thing squared. So what does that make it then, Maddie? Parabola. When you only got one term squared, only one term squared, It's got to be a parabola. You got to have the x squared and the y squared to have an ellipse hyperbola. All right, so now you can go to your little sheet there. All right, parabola. What should this standard form look like when we're done? So it's going to be y minus k squared equals 4a times x minus 8. So we got to end up at the only thing that shouldn't have a constant should be the y and the k, or y and the x. All right, let's take that equation. Let's move everything around. Keep your y's together. So on the left-hand side, so 2y squared minus 4y equals, subtract 3x, add 7. All right, I'm going to complete the square. You got a couple options here. What's one thing I can do, or what's your first instinct on completing the square? What do we got to do before we can actually do that? Okay, got to get rid of the what? 2. You got 2 options. You can either what? Factor it or divide by 2. I would not divide by 2. It's a possibility and it would work, but the only reason I'm not dividing by 2 at this point because it's going to give me fractions over here. So I'm going to factor it out. And put a space in there to complete the square, and then the same thing over on the other side. We'll put that space in there. Half of a negative 4. Ellie.
Wouldn't it be minus 2y?
Yes, it would be because I divide by 2 and I didn't. So that should be minus 2y. Thank you. All right, so it should be negative 2y there. All right, now cut that in half. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Square it. You get positive 1. What goes on the other side, though? It'll be a 2. So I got 2 times y minus 1 squared equals negative 3x plus 9. All right, factor out a negative 3 on the right-hand side. So I get 2 times y minus 1 squared equals negative 3 x minus 3. All right, last thing, cannot leave that because 4a does not equal negative 3. You can't be done there. You got to get rid of this 2. Now I'm going to divide by 2. And when you do it, at this point, I can just make it negative 3 halves, bless you, times x minus 3. So you still have that constant out in front. You still got your parentheses, x plus or minus a constant. And you still have y minus 1 squared. All right, so this would be standard form. All right, you got a little bit of time here. You only have to graph 57 on both of them. Okay, 57 from, and that's an ellipse. I wanted you to go back and do one of those just to refresh. And then 982, that's similar to what we did here today. We'll review tomorrow and then test on Thursday.
The review sheet, if not, I can come in during like the
I do have it. There you go.
It's so raw.
Those are yesterday. I mean, I'll be here in the morning, so.
Yeah.
What's your first
So I'll probably not to get done.
You're like watching the rock after the scale in general. I know, Daddy, like, that's the watching.
All right, so hopefully I'll give you back that homework tomorrow.
I can just feel.
I don't want you to.
I don't want you to.
Daddy, look at it.
Let's go.
She's not here. You have to.